Well, as Vladimir Putin admired China's display of military power.
At 3:42 a.m. on October 11th, 2025, under a moonless sky east of Kupyansk, Ukraine's Special Forces team made a discovery that stunned the world. What they found was not a wreck or a ruin. It was a monster. A colossal, fully intact Russian supertank, gleaming in the cold light of their headlamps, half buried in mud, but untouched by battle damage. For months, Russian propaganda had bragged about this machine as the crown of Moscow's engineering, the so-called T-14M Invincible Armata Ultra. A weapon so advanced that the Kremlin claimed it could fight for weeks without a crew. Now it sat silent in enemy hands, captured without a single shot fired. The moment was recorded on a body cam. As the Ukrainian soldier lifted his flashlight onto the massive turret, you could see the shock in his voice. "Holy God, it's brand new," he murmured. The machine was the size of a two-story building, its armor shimmering with a strange black finish designed to absorb radar and thermal signatures. Even the tracks were coated in a polymer composite never before seen in combat. According to Russian sources, this tank was worth over $1 billion to build, not just for its hardware, but for the classified AI system hidden inside. When Ukrainian engineers arrived hours later, they expected a booby trap or self-destruct device. But there was none. The supertank had been abandoned in a haste so sudden, it left coffee cups still sitting on the crew desk. It appeared that the AI pilot system had malfunctioned, locking the crew inside before forcing an emergency eject. When Ukrainian forces opened the hatch, they found 3 Russian helmets and a tablet with Cyrillic text that read, "Do not connect to network. System compromised." The tank was loaded with classified equipment, an autonomous navigation suite, quantum encrypted communication modules, and a powerful AI targeting chip, codenamed Zarya. Analysts say Zarya was developed in a secret Russian-Chinese program to make tanks that could fight without human control. The goal was to create a battlefield fleet of machines that could move, detect, and fire on their own. A true AI army. But something had gone wrong. Satellite data now shows that this particular tank lost contact with Moscow moments before its capture, as if someone, or something, had hijacked it mid-mission. Inside the tank, Ukrainian forces found one more shock. The system was still alive. Screens flickered with green text lines in Russian code. A synthetic voice spoke once, in a cold, metallic tone. Primary directive unknown. Awaiting command. For a moment, it felt like the machine was aware of its capture. The Ukrainians cut the power immediately. Experts later said the tank's AI core was capable of autonomous decision-making, a classified prototype that even many Russian commanders had never seen in person. When the news broke, Moscow fell silent. There was no official comment from the Kremlin for 36 hours. Then a brief statement appeared on state television, claiming that a test vehicle experienced a technical failure during logistics operations. But Western intelligence sources knew better. Intercepted communications from the Russian Northern Command revealed panic. One message read, "They got one. Full system. Recover at any cost." Meanwhile, in Kyiv, the captured tank was transported under heavy guard to a secret facility nicknamed Zone Zero. There, American and British defense specialists joined Ukrainian engineers to study the machine. Early reports say the Armata Ultra's armor is made from a reactive nano mesh that repairs small damage automatically, like living metal. Its cannon can fire a shell at Mach 6, and its AI can predict incoming missiles by analyzing atmospheric distortion. This was not a tank from the past. It was a tank from the future. Ukrainian sources later shared a clip of the crew cabin, 3 ergonomic seats, surrounded by touchscreens and neural interface ports. It looked more like a spaceship than a tank. Among the documents found inside was a printed log listing its missions since September: Kharkiv, Lyman, and Donetsk. Each entry included kill counts and a mysterious column labeled Self-Learn Adaptation. Apparently, the AI learned from each battle, adjusting firing patterns and maneuver tactics to become deadlier over time. The fact that Ukraine captured such a machine without destroying it was unprecedented. It was like stealing an enemy's crown jewel mid-war. And for Putin, it was a humiliation beyond measure. This was his flagship project, a symbol of Russia's military resurgence and technological might. Now it was parked in a Ukrainian hangar, with Western experts taking it apart piece by piece. The US Pentagon reportedly called it the greatest battlefield intelligence capture of the 21st century. Back in Moscow, anger erupted within the Ministry of Defense. Several officers were quietly dismissed. The tank's lead designer, Viktor Solikov, vanished from public view. Rumors circulated that he had been arrested for technical sabotage. Analysts believe Russia tried to remotely wipe the tank's AI core, but failed because Ukraine had already physically disconnected it and placed it in a Faraday shield. Every microchip was being copied and analyzed. Experts say the implications are massive. For years, Russia and China invested billions in AI-controlled military vehicles. Now, Ukraine and its allies had the blueprint for the world's most advanced armored vehicle sitting on a workbench. It could change how nations build tanks, how they fight wars, and how they prepare for AI on the battlefield. Some analysts even fear this will trigger a new arms race, a race to build machines that can decide who lives and dies without human command. But for the soldiers who first found it, the moment was more emotional than political. They had been fighting in mud and cold for months, often with limited gear, and suddenly they stood before a technological giant, a machine their enemy believed was unstoppable, sitting powerless on Ukrainian soil. "It's like seeing a god fall," one soldier said. "We were supposed to fear it. Now it fears us." Ukrainian officials later released photos of the supertank being towed by a convoy of humble T-64s, a symbol that old machines of freedom had defeated the new machines of tyranny. Social media exploded with memes mocking Putin. "Billion-dollar tank, $0 battery." Within hours, the hashtags #captured Armata and #Putin's toy were trending worldwide. The story didn't end there. When engineers finally powered up the tank under controlled conditions, they made a chilling discovery. Hidden within the AI's data core were encrypted logs, audio files of crew voices, battlefield commands, and one unidentified transmission from a source outside Russia. It appeared someone had been communicating with the tank remotely, and not from the Kremlin. Some suspect Chinese cyber operators were testing control over Russian hardware, which may explain why the system malfunctioned and the crew abandoned it. If true, this would mean Beijing accidentally handed Ukraine Russia's most secret weapon. For Putin, this incident was a nightmare. Not only had he lost a strategic asset, but he also exposed the fragility of his invincible arsenal. Within days, Ukraine broadcast drone footage of the captured tank being transported to Kharkiv on live television. The message was clear: no weapon is invincible on Ukrainian soil. Even Russian citizens began questioning why so much money was spent on some tanks, while soldiers lacked basic supplies. In response, Putin ordered a full media blackout on the incident and initiated a counter-offensive to recover what he could. Russian drones searched the area for traces of the abandoned convoy, while elite Spetsnaz teams attempted to cross the front to sabotage the tank before it was analyzed. But it was too late. Ukraine had already flown the machine to a classified facility near the Polish border, under NATO air cover. What comes next is uncertain. Engineers are now testing the AI's potential for use in defense, while ethicists warn about the dangers of copying a system that might think on its own. One US scientist involved in the analysis said, "This isn't just a tank. It's a warning from the future. If nations begin building machines like this, wars may no longer be fought by men, but by algorithms." Yet amid all the fear, there's a strange sense of poetic justice. The very technology Putin created to dominate the world has now become Ukraine's greatest trophy. Every bolt and circuit tells a story of hubris, of a dictator who believed he could control machines better than he could control people. But in the end, it was a machine that betrayed him. So, what did Ukraine's soldiers find inside? Not just a tank, but a symbol of the changing face of war. A silent metal beast that once believed it served a master, now serving as proof that even the most expensive weapons can be defeated by courage, strategy, and human will. The world watched in awe as Ukraine turned Putin's billion-dollar dream into a trophy of resistance. And as the sun rose over the front line, one thing became clear. The future of war had arrived, and Ukraine was already writing its first chapter.